Okay, here we are back again. You know, doing the whole minus 950 thing as one would normally do on a weekday. Um, just sitting here going 950 as we always do. Like, who doesn't go 950 is what I want to know. Let's be honest here. 950 is the wave of the future, my friends. If you're not 950, you're out of time. Okay, you are out of time. Uh, yeah, the voice is coming way before the video. Okay, all right. Delay. Pff, yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. This sucks balls. Okay, let's go to the video capture portion and let's do a 900 positive. Boom. Any change? Any change to that? Has that gotten better? I do not know. Only you can tell me. Still bad, it appears. Properties. Let's do 5,000. Boom. 5,000. 5,000. Here we are. It's the same delay. Nothing's changing. That's all that's happening. Okay. All right. This is clearly not the best method. Hmm. Back to zero. But before it was horrible. Like when I went to 5,000. Um, I have no idea what the problem is. This sucks. Okay. 900. Oh, wait, no, we went zero. Back to zero. Back to fucking zero, bro. Zero. Zero. Okay. I don't know what else to say. Let's go video, audio, sync. Yeah, that's not going to help. Um, I don't think it's the internet. That, yeah, the audio and video are going through the program and then being put out into the internet. So it's the program that should put them together and then send it out, you know? I don't know. I just don't know. Proper Ace. Video capture device. No sound on that. Sync offset didn't fucking work. Okay. Well, I don't know. If you want, you can go back to work and I can just sit here for a while and finish doing this and try and figure out something else. If you want. I don't know if you can help me much right now. Use another program. I paid for this program. This is one of the best programs you can use. I've used it in the past. Not synced. And just sync offset. It's good. I don't. It's probably my computer that just sucks ass. So you go to work, and I will continue to mess with this. Network. Oh, maybe you're right. It says here network latency can cause the problem. If you're streaming online, network issues can cause audio and video to desync. Incorrect audio settings. Outdated software. Well, I wonder. Okay, bye. I might have to just move this back into the bedroom and out of the studio. That's a problem. That sucks. Check the pin in the speed test. What does that mean? Check the pin in the speed test. What does that mean? I mean, that's not the worst in the world. 30. 40 millisecond latency. That's like nothing. 40 milliseconds is absolutely nothing. Look at that. It even says your internet connection should be able to handle multiple devices streaming HD videos at the same time, bro. You see what I'm saying? That sucks. Maybe. No, it's the only thing I've got running. Could it be due to the GoPro? I wonder. Why is it pulling up Bing, dude? I don't use Bing. Who uses Bing? Stream with a GoPro can cause latency. God dang it. Use a low latency streaming demo. Whoa, what? Avoid using the live streaming RTMP protocol. Unnecessary steps in the pipeline. You can stream with a GoPro by using a GoPro app and a GoPro subscription. So, I think we found our problem. I think I'm going to have to set up my original camera, which I was having issues with. Fuck.
I get asked all the time if you should buy a GoPro for live streaming with the A10 Mini or the YOLO box. It makes sense at first, right? They're small, they're easy to mount to things. But here's the thing. The GoPro is a fantastic action camera, but it is terrible for live streaming.
Damn.
Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki. Normally, I try to avoid making negative videos about products. I like to focus on the positive aspects of things and talk about what I like about them. But GoPro is a huge name, and I'm not going to hurt their sales by making this video. Plus, I get this question far too often, so I really just need to explain why GoPros are not a good choice for using in your live streams. Also, just to clarify, I'm talking specifically about multi-camera live streaming. The recent GoPros since the 7 have had a built-in live streaming feature themselves, which streams that camera directly to your destination like YouTube. And that's fine for what it does. Well, actually, I do have a couple of issues with how that works, but we'll save that for a different video. What I want to focus on in this video is multi-camera live streams where you want to be able to cut between different cameras. To do that, you'll run an HDMI cable from each camera into a switcher like the A10 Mini or YOLO box, and then switch between the different camera angles using that device. and you can add graphics on top and do things like that. My introduction to GoPros was in 2016. First one I ever bought was a GoPro Hero 5. 2 years later, I bought the Hero 7 Black, and then just last year, I bought the Hero 10 Black. So these are the 3 models I have experience with that I'm basing this on. What I find particularly ironic is that while a lot of things about the GoPros have gotten better over the years, they've actually gotten worse for live streaming with each new version. So naturally, if you want to use a GoPro with your live streaming rig, you'll need to connect to it over HDMI. The GoPros from the Hero 7 and older have a built-in micro HDMI port. The HDMI port is under this little cover, and it is kind of awkward to get to, but it is there. And if you want to put the GoPro on a tripod, you'll have to put it in this little case. It's not super great, but it gets worse. Starting with the Hero 8, they've actually stopped including an HDMI port in the GoPro entirely. With the Hero 8, 9, and 10, you now need to buy the $80 extra add-on called the Media Mod, which is a separate case the camera fits into. And that case has the HDMI port, and it also has an audio input jack. It actually makes the camera quite a lot bigger once it's all in the Media Mod case. So that means you actually lose some of the advantages of how small the GoPro normally is. Like, really just look at the GoPro Hero 10 in the Media Mod case compared to the Hero 7. It is huge. But of course, one of the other parts of the HDMI output is that it needs to be clean HDMI out. That means no overlays with the camera info or anything. The Hero 7 and the 5 work fine. When you plug in the HDMI cable, the screen turns off and the clean video feed comes out the HDMI port. The Hero 10, on the other hand, works very differently. When you plug in the HDMI cable, it actually first brings up the playback mode, and then you can see what's recorded on the card. And now you can actually swipe on the GoPro screen to navigate, but you can only see what you're doing on the external monitor. For watching your videos back on a TV, this is fine, but it's really awkward when you're using it with a video switcher. I used this GoPro 10 with the YOLO box to live stream a bike ride this summer. And when I plugged in the HDMI, the GoPro screen shows up in this tiny little thumbnail on the YOLO box. I actually have to switch to that angle to get the full-size picture in order to navigate this. And then, of course, I want a clean feed. I don't want to watch the videos back. I want to see the live camera feed. So I have to go swipe over to the little icon and then tap, and now I can actually see the live feed. But now we've got the little camera controls over top too. So then you got to swipe down to this little icon in order to hide the controls. This may not sound like a big deal, but trust me, it is extremely frustrating when you're in the middle of a live production. And if the camera ever runs out of battery during the middle of the stream, or if the HDMI cable gets bumped, then you have to start over to get back to the clean feed. I described this problem on a recent live stream that I did, and one of my viewers, who by the way said he has 45 GoPros, mentioned that there is actually a solution for this. GoPro has a separate firmware called GoPro Labs, and this gives you a lot more control over various options on the GoPro using QR codes to turn on and off features. There is actually a lot of fun things in here, which I should probably do a whole separate video about, so let me know if that would be interesting to you down in the comments. One of the things you can do with the GoPro Labs firmware, though, is you can make the camera boot into clean HDMI output mode. And that honestly pretty much solves my complaint. But in my opinion, it really should not be a totally separate firmware you have to download. Lastly, the other important feature of the HDMI out is that it is as real-time as possible. If the video feed is significantly delayed, it can really mess things up if you're switching between different angles. With most cameras, we're talking about pretty minor delays, just a few frames. But this is where the GoPro ends up having some pretty big problems. The GoPros all have really good image stabilization, which makes sense because they are meant to be action cameras. But the downside with the stabilization is that it takes some time to process. That means it ends up adding a ridiculous delay to the HDMI out. Here's an example of what I mean. Here's the Hero 7 on this table, and the HDMI out is going into this monitor. Watch as I move my hand back and forth. The delay is really extreme. If you turn off the stabilization, the delay is definitely better. I don't have the Hero 8 or 9 to compare to those, but I do have the 10, so we can see how it compares to the 7. So here again is with the stabilization turned on, and now here is the stabilization off. And that means you will definitely want to use this camera with Hypersmooth off if you're doing this. And that's another problem with this whole thing. Most of the money you're spending on a GoPro is for making it an action camera. Great stabilization, waterproof, small. They are the best at in-camera stabilization. Turning off that feature means you're missing out on one of the only reasons to get a GoPro in the first place. I do want to mention picture quality. The GoPros really want a lot of light, and I mean a lot, and that's why you see all the promo videos in outdoor settings. And again, it makes sense because these are action cameras. But that ends up meaning they are actually pretty terrible in a studio environment. Here's a shot in my studio with the GoPro Hero 10, and that's compared to what I've been using this whole time, which is the Lumix GH5S. This is decently bright studio lighting, but as you can see, the GoPro image is just not nearly as good. So if you're after a good quality image in your studio, the GoPros are really just not a good solution. So what does the GoPro get right? External power. The GoPros can run on external power via USB-C, and it even works without the battery connected. Another thing that they mostly support is manual exposure. You do have to first turn on the Pro Tune option, but then you can adjust the shutter speed and ISO. So I really do not recommend trying to use GoPros for live streaming. They are very good action cameras, and as we're seeing in each new version of the camera, they are adding features that make them better and better for action cameras, but worse and worse for live streaming cameras. Plus, they're not even cheap. You can get a decent mirrorless camera for only a little bit more than a GoPro costs, and you're going to get a far better picture from one, and it'll be much less frustrating to use. As much as I love the GoPro for filming stuff on my bike, every time I try to pick it up and connect it via HDMI to the ATEM or the YOLO box, I end up getting super frustrated because it just feels like it's fighting with me. The Hero 10 in particular was really frustrating to use, plus you have to buy the extra media mod to even use it at all. So honestly, if you are thinking about using a GoPro, I would go try to find a cheap used Hero 7 if you're going to be using a GoPro with an ATEM or a YOLO box. But either way, I would never use a GoPro in a studio setting. It just doesn't make any sense. Let me know down in the comments if you've had a similar experience, or maybe you use GoPros all the time and you don't mind the inconveniences. That's fine too. Either way, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, well, there we go. Fuck GoPro. It's 9:30.